Once upon a time, not too far from here, but just far enough to feel magical, there was a quiet, peaceful place called the Whispering Forest. It wasn't like any ordinary forest. The trees were old, very old. Their trunks were thick and covered in soft moss. Their branches reached out like gentle arms, swaying slowly in the wind. But what made them special was that they whispered. They didn't whisper with words, exactly. They whispered with rustling leaves, with the creaking of bark and the soft sigh of the wind weaving through their roots. And if you listen closely, very closely, you could almost hear them telling stories. One evening, just as the sun was setting and the sky was painted with soft pink and gold, a gentle traveler named Eli entered the forest. Eli wasn't in a hurry. He had no destination, no map, just a warm cloak, a small pack of bread and tea, and an open heart. He stepped quietly onto the soft forest path. His feet barely made a sound on the mossy ground. Birds had already tucked themselves in for the night, and the forest began to hum. The trees welcomed Eli with a breeze that wrapped around him like a hug. The air was cool and clean, smelling faintly of pine and earth. Eli smiled and looked up. The first stars were beginning to twinkle through the canopy above. He walked slowly, not because he was tired, but because everything felt so calm here. The more he walked, the more the forest whispered to him. Stories of old deer that once ran through the meadows, of foxes curled up beneath roots, of little owls learning to fly in the moonlight. Eli listened. He sat beneath a willow tree whose leaves danced with the breeze. He poured himself a small cup of tea and took a warm sip. The tea smelled like chamomile and honey. The forest whispered again, softer now, a lullaby in wind and leaf and night. And Eli closed his eyes for a moment, just to rest. But the whispering trees kept watch. Above, the moon rose gently, bathing the forest in silver light. A gentle owl hooted in the distance, not loud, just enough to say, "I'm here too." Eli lay back on the moss, his head resting on his pack. He didn't need a bed, because the forest had become one. The sounds of the night wrapped around him. A rustle here, a sigh there, and the softest hum of the wind telling stories older than time. The whispering forest was alive, but not busy. It moved, but slowly. It breathed. And with every breath, Eli's own became slower and slower. And as his eyes drifted closed, he thought he heard the forest whisper, "Sleep now, traveler. You're safe here. We will whisper you into dreams." And so Eli slept, peacefully, wrapped in the hush of the trees, the blanket of night, and the quiet kindness of a world that knew how to rest. And there, under the stars and the whispering leaves, the forest watched over him until morning.